Welcome to Intelligent Think, the podcast in which we explore what makes ideas great, how we can make our thinking better, and why it's so important to share your ideas with the world. Plus, we'll talk to thought leaders and authors about their own ideas and experiences so you can mine them for gold nuggets that will help you on your own journey. I'm Verity, and this is Intelligent Think. And today, I'm delighted to have the wonderful Deb King joining me. Deb is an award-winning transformational coach and co-founder of Coach Training Campus. With over 20 years of experience, she's guided thousands of coaches, healers, and practitioners to harness their unique wisdom and create meaningful impact, which is obviously something that we really care about as well. So thanks so much for joining me, Deb.
Thanks so much for having me, Verity. I'm super excited to have this conversation with you.
Me too. I feel as though we've already started this conversation and then now we just need to record it for everybody else to hear.
Yeah, we've been talking for a while and there's so much alignment.
So much. So I guess what I'd love to understand, particularly just for our listeners or watchers, however they're engaging with this, what led to you starting Coach Training Campus? Like, what's your story?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I have been coaching I started my very first coaching course in 2003. Prior to that, I was a major party animal. And 2003 is over 20 years ago. So since then, been on this huge personal development, spiritual development, entrepreneurial development. I like to say all the developments.
All the developments.
The journey of development, and really was always good at the coaching piece, the conversation. I was actually pretty crap at marketing and selling myself, even though I have a marketing degree and I could be top of sales team selling something else. What happened was in 2020, I was going to follow my dream to live in Hawaii, and 2020 happened, which sort of stuffed that up a bit. And then I ended up having chats with Gabby, who's my business partner. And Gabby has a really interesting career and had done very unique research in the coaching industry, where she had actually spoken with hundreds of coaches, hundreds of clients, and worked out some really unique wisdom around what makes coaches have a thriving business, because a very small percentage do. And when she shared it with me, it honestly blew my mind. And I was like, oh my God, I wish I knew this my whole career. No one teaches this. We need to share this with the world and help more coaches. And because coaches are the ones that are helping the world navigate these times so that they can be thriving. We need coaches thriving so they can help more people. Mm-hmm. And so, so we ended up have been on a journey to develop Coach Training Campus and the tools that we have developed that I'm sure we're talking today about, the Coaches Results Express and different ways. And when I say coach, I mean that is any type of passionate human with a calling to help change lives and businesses. They could be any modality, from financial, health, career. They could be real spiritual kind of. We've worked with sound healers and animal communicators. Like it's across the board in terms of modality, but it's those that have a calling to support shaping the future, really.
I love that. And so going from, I guess, yourself in business as a coach to then co-founding something with Gabby, how have you found that kind of process? Like, we talk a lot about thinking partners and how important they are. Christina and I are very much thinking partners for each other, our team are, our clients. How have you found kind of having a thinking partner in business, and how do you act as that for each other?
It's great. I think I love your term, thinking partner. I love the way you and your business partner work together. And I feel Gabby and I have a similar vibe, and probably that's how this unfolded, because we actually didn't plan to create a business initially. It was from being this bouncing of ideas and thinking, because it was at the time of when COVID happened and lockdowns were happening, and my whole life plan had changed. I had the most amazing travel plans that weren't happening, and so Gabby and I just had so many ideas, and we really wanted to create a community of like-hearted people rather than like-minded, from the point of view of we can all have different ways of thinking. That's a great thing. We can get curious and learn from each other by celebrating the fact that we do think differently. And we can have different opinions and still, doesn't mean we don't have to like each other. I used to make the joke of, there's people who were pro-vaccination and anti-vaccination. You can still be friends with each other, even if you think differently to the other person. There was people who liked Trump and not like Trump. You can still be friends, even if whichever way you want to go. And I like the one of you can like your toilet paper over or under, and you can still be friends. You might find that one.
Oh no, that seems like the rule breaker. Yeah. I really like the term like-hearted, because I remember challenging Christina on that a few years back, where she was like, we want to find like-minded people, and I was like, no we don't, because we like people who think really differently. Like, we think differently, we don't agree on everything. That's what makes it interesting and what gets us to better results. But like-hearted, I think, is the really important piece. It's the similar values, the similar where you're coming from, because it's really hard to find connection with someone or find a way to have a conversation with someone if you're not coming from the same place in terms of your heart and your intention. That's the real breaking point, right? When it comes to thinking partners, collaborations, colleagues, whatever it is, it's if you can't come from that same place of respect and, love, I guess, then that's where the challenge comes in.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a beautiful thing that's come out through your podcast. I feel I loved the first one where you two were talking about it, in the sense that it's for the greatest outcome. If something is challenged, if we can not be offended by that, not take it personally, just really know that actually it's for the better. I think that's such a key part of it, where we feel safe to actually, this happened for me with Gabby. She's such an incredible designer of presentation slides and work, training and everything like that. And in the past, potentially, if I had feedback for someone that was like, oh, I don't know if I like that bit or whatever, like it's almost like, oh, I don't want to offend them and whatever. But I have to have the courage to speak the truth so that it can get the best possible outcome. And she has to have the ability to receive that. Otherwise, you won't create the best outcome, right? So those thinking partners need to be on the same page to get that outcome.
Yeah, and you've got to be able to create that safe space as well, where you both know that you care about each other, respect each other, are supporting each other, and that it is in that pursuit of that outcome, for sure.
Agreed. Yeah.
So one of the frameworks that you shared with me when we were chatting is called the Coach's Results Express, and I really connected with it and really loved the thinking behind it and how you kind of built your business around it and what you do. I'd love to understand, I guess, give people a rundown of what that is first and foremost, and then how that framework kind of came about. Where did that thinking come from?
Okay. All right. So if I explain it, it's a model, and we like to talk in colors. So if you think of a pie, it's got 3 pieces of the pie. One's an orange wedge, one's a blue wedge, one's a green wedge, and in the very middle there's yellow. And so we talk in different zones, and we've color coded it just so we talk about orange language and blue language and all that kind of stuff. So just once coaches start working with us, it's a fast track. But essentially, it's talking about many coaches in business go to business training, and then they're told find a profitable niche. And really, maybe a profitable niche is some sort of, I don't know, something that's nothing to do with their passion. Yet as a coach, we have this calling to share the wisdom that we've kind of uncovered and want to support people with. So it's not useful necessarily to follow that. And the place we start with is the coach's orange zone, which is their unique intelligence. So it's, what is it that's all the wisdom and experience and the trainings and everything you've learned in your life, to unpack all that and really understand what that unique intelligence is. And we actually turn that into a visual model and an assessment tool, and kind of, and it can actually become a whole signature body of wisdom. But we start with that first measuring tool model. And then we go to the blue zone, which is the connection intelligence. So this is around, what does your audience care about? What are they willing to pay for? And what's the language they use to talk about what's going on for them, because many coaches are just talking their orange, their modalities, and all this stuff that just doesn't mean anything to anyone. They've got to speak in the blue language, which is what the audience cares about, what matters to them. And so we really do some unpacking around that. And then we go to the green zone, which is the solutions intelligence. So this is around designing products and services that actually get results for clients, because that's what clients are buying. Clients want results. They don't care what kind of modality you use. They're not buying coaching. They're actually buying the result. And there's specific structure and tools that came out of Gabby's research that make it easy to deliver, but very powerful for the client to become raving fans, thanks to this process. And then the middle, the yellow, is the artificial intelligence. So we use that to just fast track all of those zones. So that's our overall model of the Coach's Results Express. Each of those orange, blue, and green zones have segments that go into deeper kind of wisdom, let's say. But you asked, how did that come about? Is that the next?
Yeah. How did you come up with it?
So as all things, as I know you would know, you don't come up with that first go, right?
Definitely not.
So this has been a journey since 2020 of when, as I said, Gabby shared the research. I go, oh my God, we've got to share this with the world. And then that started with a program that led to another one. And we started with different models that have continually evolved and upgraded as we've worked with more coaches and all that. Like I'm not sure when we got to this, but this has felt quite solid now, but it really has been a journey over a few years, I would say, of different upgrades, iterations and learnings and thinking and all the things.
Is there anything that you had in the model early on that now when you look back on it, you're a little bit like, oh God, I can't believe that was there?
I would have to look at the old versions. If you know, I'm so clear on this one that I can't actually remember exactly. But I do know that when we first started, we were more sharing the wisdom from the green zone about how to create a package that you can sell for premium pricing. That is a transformational journey. It's not a bunch of discounted sessions. It's actually this really powerful journey, because this is the product that the top coaches had as a first starting point, beyond one-off sessions, right? So how to design that package and how to use the structure and the tools that actually ensure results. So that was the piece that we were teaching initially. And it's the orange and the blue got added, and then the yellow even more recently with AI, right? So yeah, it's kind of evolved in stages, I think, as we've realized what's needed so that coaches can have the full picture of what they need. Yeah.
I'm interested to know, so with the AI piece being in there, how is that being used in terms of, like, you know, the way that you talk is very much about like unique intelligence, and it's that human element of coaching, and it's what they bring to it. So I'm interested to know, like, where does the AI come in? What are the pieces where AI can be really valuable for coaches versus where maybe people might use it in a way that takes away that uniqueness?
Yeah, it's a really good point. If anyone goes to AI straight away without first unpacking their own unique intelligence, they're going to just get what AI already knows, and it's going to try to lead us down a very generic path, and it's not powerful. Like, what's needed is us to own our value, own our expertise, own our unique thinking, all the ways that we're bringing to the table from all our wisdom and experience. And I'll give you an example of, like, one of our coaches is this high-level HR professional in luxury fashion, And she had the traditional HR knowledge, but she also had all this really cool wisdom around belonging cultures and coaching and energy and all the things. And she was seeing herself quite separate in a way of how does she bring the leading edge stuff into a business environment. But through this process, when you unpack everything and then bring it together in a new way, it allows you to have this new body of wisdom that you can share and be fully integrated with. Now, what happens with AI is we don't want to bring AI in the start because then you won't get that uniqueness. So it's unpacking first yourself, then AI can help kind of tidy it up and, you know, fast track a whole lot of stuff, but don't bring in AI too early would be what I would say. And the same for all aspects of that. We have like this part of we've got step-by-step workbooks, and it's like this part is without AI, and then
nice.
Yeah, because AI can help us fast track and leverage. You know, it's a tool to use to leverage, but it's not the tool to just rely on solely.
Yeah, it's similar to with books. I mean, we don't use a massive amount of AI. We sort of believe that the process of writing your book and actually going through that, even though it's harder and takes longer, is such incredible like professional and personal development that it's worth it to take a bit longer to get to the result. But where I'm seeing is a lot of people are going, oh, I could use AI to plan out what the structure of my book could be, for example. And when actually, if you haven't done the thinking around, you know, who your audience is and what they need most, which is, you know, that's the blue zone, isn't it? And if you haven't figured out like what you uniquely bring to it and captured your IP and figured out the journey that you're trying to take the reader on, if you haven't done essentially that orange and blue zone of your model before you use AI, you are going to get given something that is really, really generic. And, you know, again, we sort of see AI as being a tool for organizing information and speeding certain things up, not for creativity or humanity or thinking really in general. But I think that's the particularly key bit is do not bring it in too early, right? Otherwise it'll do the thinking for you and you aren't getting the benefit of having actually done that thinking yourself.
Yeah, there is so much power in using our brain fully.
Yeah.
So I love that you have, you know, that process of what authors go through with you is just so powerful beyond just having a book. It's way more profound than that, and I think that potentially not everyone gets that, but it's AI can be used in many ways, but yeah, when it comes to that, you need we all have so much magic and wisdom to share with the world. And now is the time to really start to connect with that and start to, release it, share it.
Yeah. Well, and I think that, you know, there is so much information out there. We're constantly being thrown information. There are so many people out there. There's so many coaches out there. There's so many thought leaders out there that if you're not tapping into what makes you unique, if you're not, you know, getting clear on that orange zone stuff, if you don't know what makes you different and what feels really right and real for you, then you just risk becoming part of the noise.
Very much so, part of the noise, and likely not fully aligned or embodied in your message. And people, energy doesn't lie. So it's the truth is very likely average coaches will be replaced by AI. So it's a time now where we're called to be truly our most magnificent.
What do you see the real challenges being for coaches at the moment, like in this world where there are things like AI, and I've heard of people using AI as a thinking partner, as a coach, as a therapist. Like, what do you think are the challenges for coaches in terms of kind of claiming that space, claiming their own unique intelligence?
Well, that's the thing. AI is very, very good at many things, far better than humans in so many things. So it's the pieces where we have the opportunity to bring our the things that we're better at but you didn't ask me that. You asked me what are the challenges. The challenges, I mean, it is a noisy world. Like, it's great we can reach, we've got so many tools to reach so many people, yet everyone does as well. So it's like, and yeah, it's I'd say the challenge is coaches need to really, if they really have that calling, it's time to let go of the doubt and all that and really start to own their value and get that they matter, there's something to offer, they're enough, it's time. And it's possible. The possibilities are infinite right now in terms of what can be created. So it doesn't matter our level of success before now. It's what we do with what right now and the opportunity. So it is about finding our unique intelligence and owning being the expert. That's why would anyone come to you if you're not an expert? Like, would you go to someone that's not an expert? It's something that I think coaches need to own. And if we're life coach trained, we're going to have to really have an identity shift, because I remember when my first training was life coaching, and there's so many rules that limit a successful business, and it's almost like you're not supposed to bring yourself into the space and all these different things. And it's actually to have a successful business, you need to own that you're an expert. You need the broad definition of a coach, taking a very important person from where they are to where they want to be in greater comfort, and using whatever modality and hat and wisdom you can bring to help that client. And that's like we like to talk about the traditional horse-drawn coach. So owning the expertise, really getting curious about connection with your audience. Like, what do they really care about? That's an ongoing thing, to listen to that. And really, and then really get serious about mastering how you deliver results. Because if you don't get results, then there's not going to be a thing. So there's lots of challenges for coaches, but there is a pathway to overcome those. And I feel one of the keys is also finding community that can be supportive. To think we learn so much from each other. We're all mirrors of each other. We can actually rise together in so many ways. So I don't know if that answered Verity. I can't.
I mean, in this podcast, we go off on some weird tangents, so it's fine. I think it's really interesting to think about, what business is like now versus 10 years ago, 20 years ago, actually, because I think that in general, the people that I'm seeing succeed in business, whether they're coaches, speakers, trainers, or, just building a general business, the ones that I'm seeing succeed are the ones who are tapping into that idea of community and collaboration. And it's not about, oh, my competitor's over here. Like, yes, you've got to be aware of who else is out there and what they're doing, because you want to differentiate yourself. But it's coming back to, people are going to work with me, particularly for subject matter experts. So for coaches who have their own expertise, for speakers who are talking about something, people are going to work with you because they connect with you and your thinking and your values and your message and your expertise, not because, like, I know that you've said, people buy the result, they don't buy the process, but I think actually they often buy the person, or they buy the way that they feel. The result is just like, for us, for example, yes, people want to write a book, but they could just sit down and write a book themselves. Like, there's no reason they couldn't. There's lots of information on the internet. They're not buying getting to a book. They're buying us, really. They're buying into us and our approach and our thinking. So I think it's like the result's important, but I think it's actually you that's more important.
Well, that's a really good point. And absolutely, they're buying us. That I 100% agree. And, they could write the book themselves. They could go to a different book coach, but they choose you because of you, and because they believe that you get them and that you can get them a better result than they would get by themselves.
That's true. Yeah, right? That's a really good differentiator.
So there is a result involved, because if they weren't getting a result, even if they love you, they may not.
That's true. They're probably not going to pay us. They're just going to hang out with us for coffees.
Yeah. So yeah, but yes. So but in terms of business changing, I mean, when I started, my first coaching course had a project, and I wanted to use the word happiness in it, and I wasn't allowed.
Hey,
I had to use the word fulfillment.
what was it about the word happiness that was so?
Well, happiness was not talked about the way it is now. Like, that's how much things have changed in just over 20 years.
Wow.
Meditation and yoga were not, things that people did in the office. There's so much change that's happened in terms of a shift in awareness around well-being and self-care and so even coaching, right? The coaching back then, when I started, people hadn't heard of it. You can see a magazine in a regular supermarket now. Like it's more rare. People haven't heard. If back then it was common, people hadn't heard of it. Now it's more rare that they haven't. It's huge. There's people have, but also there was sort of maybe more stigma around getting counseling and therapy. There was more stigma. Mental health is now a huge conversation. There was more stigma, or even online dating was kind of a bit weird, right? Like now everyone meets that way.
I know, I'm weird that I met my husband in person. How strange.
It's very unique. So definitely things have changed, and business, it's even prior to COVID, I was very fortunate and using Zoom in and doing online stuff before, but once COVID hit, like, so many people got online, like that's just transformed things massively as well. The rate of change is just on an exponential curve in terms of the amount of what could happen in 100 years from 1900 to 2000. That is just getting shorter and shorter and shorter in terms of how long that amount of change happens. So we are in a fascinating time, and that's why there's just so much opportunity. And I agree around collaboration, community. As humans, I mean, AI isn't going to give us that human heart-to-heart connection that we can create in community. And that's super, super important. Communities are really important and a great place to focus. The AI will not create, can be a great creative partner to a degree, but not in the way of really fresh new wisdom that we can come up with completely new ways forward, and critical thinking. Like, it can be very confidently wrong. So so there's all these little nuances that humans really can embrace now to ensure that we're the ones shaping the future. We get to create the world we want to live in, and create the best possible future for all of us and our loved ones and beyond.
Oh, I love that. That speaks to my heart. It's exactly what we're all about.
Yeah.
I'd love to know, I guess, or I'd love to chat a little bit about, before you jump off, we had talked about the fact that your kind of model with the orange zone, the blue zone, the green zone actually maps really effectively to thought leadership and books as well. Like, we've already talked about the fact that if you're not clear on your unique perspective and on who your audience is and what they need, that you're not going to get a good book, which I suppose is the green zone in this case. It's what's the offer. But I think in terms of the way that we share ideas and the way that we put our thinking out there, it's kind of applicable across any kind of thought leadership as well. If you think about speaking, or if you think about the content that you're putting out online, because of that, what you've just mentioned, that the piece that people are missing or feel like they're not getting now that there's so much AI happening, is that human connection. It's the feeling seen. So as an audience member feeling like, oh, they get it. And then it's the seeing someone that I think they go, wow, that's really unique, or that's really different, or that speaks to me. That's, that is something that I haven't seen before, haven't heard before. And so I really love this model as kind of a way of thinking about how do you share ideas as well, where you start with yourself, then you think about your audience, and then you look to what am I building, what am I putting out in the world, rather than I've got an idea and then trying to backtrack it around to figure out whether there's an audience for it and whether you're excited about it.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, it's like going through the process is so much value beyond the first creation. Like with your process for book writing, what we find is the first place we're starting is helping a coach identify that first visual model that becomes an assessment tool or measuring tool that they can use, and then creating their high value package that they can sell at premium prices, work one-on-one with someone and design this package with the right structure and tools, and really understanding those principles. Creating that is such a foundation for all these other leverage products as well. All of those principles and tools and structures and measures, and it can be applied when they go and do group coaching or training or retreats or whatever, whatever they want to create. All of it is applicable. So it's a super powerful thing. And for an author to have a premium package is a really smart business move, because it's another product that they can get some really good income from, and that's really cool. And if authors care about having their audience actually implement and apply what they're reading. I mean, now and then you'll get someone who'll read your book and they are dedicated and they will go and be one of the very small percentage that actually have the self-discipline to go and action it, right? Many people would probably want to pay you as an author to work with them directly and help them implement it. Like, it's a super cool opportunity. So for those authors that want to do that, having that premium coaching package can be really valuable. And then, like I say, have that leverage into whatever other products they do. And the clarity of having, so for example, that visual model that we haven't even shown, but because I have that, it's so easy to talk to. And so it means we can be so clear when we're communicating what we're talking about and expressing our ideas, even if they're not reading, you haven't read our book, we can talk about the wisdom, or even if, even if they're not seeing the visual model, I can talk to the model. So I think that, in terms of the value of thinking through in that order is super powerful.
I love that. Well, for those of you who are interested in, I guess, learning more or finding out more, Deb has left a special gift for you in the show notes. I say Deb has left it in the show notes. She sent it to me kindly, and I will put it in the show notes. So have a follow of that, and you'll find some really cool opportunities to engage with Deb and learn a little bit more from her. And I'll add in the model as well in the video if you're willing for us to share it that way.
Of course.
So that way people can see it. So if you're listening to this and you want to see it, then I'll put it on YouTube. So go to YouTube and give us a follow there, and then you can see what we're talking about as well. But thank you so much for joining me, Deb. It's been such a joy. It's always such a joy to talk to you.
Oh, likewise. I just love what you're up to, and you're brilliant. So many levels. And
this is why I brought you along, just to talk to you. Thank you so much. You have been listening to Intelligent Think with Verity Craft and Christina Wedgwood, brought to you by Intelligent Inc. Thanks to our guest Deb King, Jeff Ong for our theme music, and to you for listening. Don't forget us to leave a review if you liked what you heard, and here's to better thinking together.